Before I start this video, I'd like to give a big thanks to Electronic Arts for inviting me to play Battlefield V at Gamescom 2018. While I was there, I got to play Conquest on the new map Rotterdam, and I really liked what I played. There were a lot of elements that reminded me of Bad Company 2 and Battlefield 3, the gunplay in particular, which I later learned that Battlefield 3's gunplay was actually used as inspiration in the design of Battlefield 5's. But more on that later. I'm going to discuss my experiences playing Battlefield V while also breaking down map design, weapon customization, gameplay, and some cool new features, but also important features that I think that everybody should know. Now, there's going to be plenty of no commentary portions within this video. It would be a crime not to, with DICE's sound design. But if you want more of that, check out my no HUD video focusing on NVIDIA RTX and Battlefield V's graphics. The gameplay you're seeing is a match of Conquest and Rotterdam where I'm fighting as the Allies. For the sake of brevity, I've shortened it a tad as it was originally 35 minutes. Now, I don't want to start this video with obvious redundancies, but this is a very pretty game. Graphically, it's a marked improvement over Battlefield 1. Thanks to details like leaves blowing in the wind, birds roosting on buildings and flying when there's gunfire, and improved lighting. And also how goddamn incredible rain looks when it's hitting surfaces. And it's not just a few surfaces. Rain comes in contact with almost everything you would assume that it would. And all this goes a long way to making the game world feel more immersive, believable, and fun to destroy. Also, none of the footage that you're seeing in this video is NVIDIA RTX. All of it is just on a standard 1080 Ti. The map itself is gorgeous as well. I appreciate the tone that DICE has taken with Battlefield V. Not every map needs to look like post-bomb Hiroshima. Saving Private Ryan's raw, grainy war footage look kind of painted how we visualize World War II in our minds. But sometimes, soldiers fought on beautiful sunny days in normal city streets. Before shelling began, anyway. And for all those people that are saying that this European city battlefield map looks similar to previous European city battlefield maps, maybe it's because Amiens and Rotterdam are European cities with similar European architecture. Really, though, they look plenty different past a cursory glance.
Eliminated our first enemy soldier.
And as a map, Rotterdam was really fun. It's a fairly large map that strikes a nice size for the player count. It's not too big, not too small. They seem to have spaced objectives appropriately to give hotspots and combat areas enough room to breathe, which really helps to give a good flow to the battles. And the destructible bridges went a really long way in changing the flow of the battles thanks to the map's layout. You can still cross where a bridge has been destroyed by jumping in the water and swimming across, or leaping from one destroyed portion of the bridge to the other and vaulting yourself up. Either way, it's going to take more time than it used to for both your team and the enemy team, but more importantly, the bridge being gone makes traversal a bitch for tanks. It really forces their hand with limited routes. It is possible to rebuild the bridges, however, and allow your tanks to cross more easily, but that takes a little bit of time to rebuild. There's a lot of dynamic strategies that the building system opens up in Battlefield V, and I really hope that they're going to take advantage of that in a lot of maps like they did with Rotterdam. Something else you're going to be seeing a lot in this match is a lot of player-built barricades in some of the alleyways. Overall, it's a good map. It's well designed, and personally, I prefer it to Narvik. There's also a lot of enterable buildings. Now, of course, every single building isn't enterable. That would be a nesting nightmare. But there are quite a few buildings that you can enter, along with lots of alleyways and varied pieces of cover, of course, beyond the fact that you can now build cover yourself. Something I enjoyed in particular was the elevated railway spanning the length of the map. It's littered with train cars that you can enter, and it adds some nice layering to traversing the map. One of the train cars actually crashed into the 4th story of a building, which I thought was a pretty badass way to open up movement between the layers outside of stairs. Map design and graphics aside, let's talk about gameplay. You've probably noticed me joyriding around the streets of Rotterdam picking off Germans with relative ease in my beautiful tank. Well, what you're watching obviously isn't the final build of the game. The tank felt a touch OP, but huge balancing changes are supposed to be coming to vehicles for the open beta on September 4th and September 6th, including plane and tank reworks. I believe tank rotation speed is also supposed to be reworked, which is probably for the best, as you can see in this video. There's also mounted machine guns that you can man at the top of certain tanks. At the moment, you're extremely exposed and it's really easy for people to pick you off, but David Sirlin, the multiplayer producer for Battlefield V, said that they're looking to make stationary weapons, like mounted MGs or those in tanks, easier to exit by just walking away for those that are on the ground, and to be able to duck into them for cover, which is going to be perfect for tanks. If you can duck into the tank for a bit and take some cover, that would be great. They're hoping to get that feature in the game for launch. So in the future, we should be able to duck when necessary to avoid fire, and that would be just fine. And possibly they might add tank modifications that help armor the mounted machine guns. In any case, with some of those tweaks, it should be pretty cool. Speaking of gameplay, or lack thereof, let's go over weapon customization. It's entirely cosmetic. Even optics are entirely visual. Instead of giving you 15% more stability or some other malarkey. In fact, none of the attachments affect stats, they're all cosmetic. You can customize a weapon's stats through a skill tree of sorts, but you're free to customize your gun's appearance to your liking without stats interfering. Like the barrel of the gun, the stock, the receiver, the grip, all of that is just cosmetic. Personally, I think that's great. You can pick and choose something that you think is visually pleasing, or something you think looks practical, while still tailoring your gun's stats to what suits your playstyle best. Regardless, it should make stat modification much cleaner from a UI perspective. The weapons themselves have a nice weighty physicality that's really satisfying, and they sound amazing, of course. And gunplay, with DICE having used Battlefield 3 as inspiration, they've revamped the whole system, improving visual feedback of weapons, tweaking spread, the whole works, and it feels really, really good. You also carry quite limited amounts of ammunition, which definitely promotes strategy and team play. Sticking to your squad, which should have a support, is now more pertinent than ever. Less one-man army, more army. Also, Battlefield V no longer has archetypes. Instead, it now has combat roles. As far as weapons go, every class now has access to their weapon catalog, no matter which subclass you use. And the rest of what I got to talk about are just some really cool gameplay features in no particular order. Bullet penetration is in place in-game with quite a few materials, but it's still being tweaked. So, as with most of the things I'm listing, they're looking for feedback on it from the open beta before finalizing and fully implementing. Dragging bodies is still being developed and may not be in-game until after launch, which is understandable considering how difficult dragging bodies may be to implement. And the death screen, where you're lying on your back screaming for revives, the time that takes and the time that takes to skip is also being tweaked depending on the open beta. Match length is another thing that's being tweaked using data from the open beta. Diving prone can reduce explosive damage. The minimap now shows you the name of the location that you're in, which is great for callouts and squad play and strategy. Physically moving closer to the objective flag gives your team more ownership over it. And as for soldier cosmetics and skins, they're going to have tons of era-appropriate, straight-up classic soldier gear that you would see in a picture of a World War II battlefield. But personally, I don't really care that much. The only thing that really matters to me is, am I having fun playing this? And I was. The gameplay was tight, and I think it's only going to get better. However, if we are talking skins, the only skins I want, if we can customize our soldiers, I want to look like Hogan's Heroes. Give me Schultz! I want to look like Sergeant Schultz, or Colonel Klink, or Colonel Hogan. Anyway, I really had fun playing Battlefield 5. I think the last time I had this kind of fun playing Battlefield was Bad Company 2 or Battlefield 3, which is saying a lot. But, as always, I recommend trusting no one but yourself when it comes to whether or not you would enjoy a game. And the best way to do that is to play it. And Battlefield 5's open beta starts September 4th for early access, and it's completely open worldwide September 6th on all platforms, and I highly recommend checking it out because the gameplay is really fun and really tight. But regardless, if you want to check out the beauty of Battlefield 5's graphics, check out the video in this video's cards. And if you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more like it. I've got some pretty exciting things in the works. But until next time, I'll leave you with the rest of this Battlefield match and War Game ASMR.
You got him!
Objective dog is ours.
Objective secure!
Attention, objective dog is now lost. Attention, we have lost objective easy. Taken objective Able. Now taken objective dog. Objective easy is ours now. We can still turn this around. Objective dog. combat area. We have now taken objective Baker. We are losing objective Able. Nice job. Objective Charlie is ours. We have taken objective easy. Objective Able has now been lost. Warning, we have lost objective easy.
Eyes up! Over there! Grenade going out! I know you.
Soldiers, objective Charlie is being lost.
Soldiers! Get ready for the fight! Here.
Stay alert. Objective Charlie is lost. Objective Dog is now ours, soldiers. Objective Easy is now ours. Good work. Objective Able taken. We have taken objective Charlie. Attention, we have lost objective Charlie.
Shelling, move!
We now have objective Easy. The enemy are taking objective Able. we are losing objective
We're
Charlie.
under attack! Hold the objective! More man's just gone down!
Attention, objective Charlie has been lost. Good stuff. Objective Dog is ours now. Attention, objective Easy is lost. Be alert, we are losing objective Dog.
Charges places.
Be aware, we have lost objective Dog.
Set charges. Over it.
We have taken objective Easy. Good job, we have taken objective Baker. We have now taken objective Able. Be aware that we have lost objective Easy.